Tonight, some Baltimore City police officers are up in arms over a new TV ad in the race for governor.
That's right. Two Northern District officers make a pitch for Anthony Brown in the ad. So what's all the fuss about? 11 News reporter David Collins joins us live in the studio with tonight's Commitment 2014 report. David.
Kate, the state FOP is endorsing Brown for governor, but the ad doesn't say that, and the TV ad leaves the impression that the Baltimore City Police Department is giving Brown a blanket endorsement. This has angered some members of the force. Historically speaking, the agency itself doesn't get involved in political campaigns.
When I found out Larry Hogan's record on guns, like refusing to support a ban on high-capacity magazines,
and his refusal to support common sense background checks,
would make my
It's a close call. The TV ad is called Cops, and actual Baltimore City police officers are starring in it. But according to a department spokesperson, quote, "The city police department did not authorize the ad and we're looking into the particulars," end quote. The City Police Union made the officers available to the Brown campaign. Detective Bob Cherry is president of FOP Lodge 3.
I don't know what the problem here is.
City Police General Order strictly prohibits wearing a departmental uniform while engaging in political activity.
These officers were off duty. They did not have their uniform on because the badge is not present and you can't see the badge. And the Brown Almond campaign doctored the patch.
This is the city police patch uniform officers wear. This is the extent of it being blocked out. The badges aren't seen, but a pin indicating Northern District as well as a sexual assault recovery team pin is. People responding to Anthony Brown's Facebook page took notice. Kyle Minnick writes, "I don't know any police department supervisor in their right mind that would approve their officers to be in an advertisement stating their political views." Jeffrey Chansey states, "It's against policy." Jeff Beck, "What a sneaky campaign. It misrepresents."
David, the Baltimore Police Department is not involved in the political side of this. The Maryland State Fraternal Order of Police, at their state conference in Solomon's Island this year, endorsed Brown Almond.
We're supporting Lawrence Bell from there.
The issue has come up before. This 1999 political TV ad by the Lawrence Bell for mayor is what prompted the general order. And back in 2010, then Police Commissioner Fred Bielfeld caused an uproar, placing campaign signs on his lawn in support of Greg Bernstein for city state's attorney. This new ad does not make it clear the officers are representing views of the state FOP.
This isn't a union ad, though. This is a campaign ad.
It is you're right, it is a campaign ad. And just like any other campaign across the United States of America, union workers have a right to, engage in the political activity. That's their guaranteed right under the Constitution, and that's what these officers were doing.
The Brown campaign says the ad is in the second of a series that will highlight, quoting here, the real-life impact that Larry Hogan's dangerous agenda to weaken gun safety laws would have on Maryland families and law enforcement. Reporting live from the studio, David Collins, WBAL-TV 11 News.
Who is Larry Hogan? Take a closer look. Hogan opposes a woman's right to choose. He wants to ban abortions even in cases of rape and incest.
This is true. Larry Hogan opposes abortion unless the woman's life is at risk. The ad sources Hogan's championing a 1980s ban on abortion in Prince George's County. His father was county executive at the time. Newspaper accounts indicate Hogan, who worked for his dad, helped to put together an executive order prohibiting abortions at county-owned hospitals. And during a 1992 run for Congress, Hogan said he supported states' rights to limit abortions, although he favored keeping abortions legal.
I need your help this November.
In this campaign season, Hogan has stated he considers abortion a matter of settled law in Maryland and has no plans to revisit the issue if elected governor. Back in July, in the wake of a Supreme Court ruling that allowed corporations with religious owners to opt out of paying for insurance coverage of contraceptives, Hogan expressed support for a woman's access to birth control.
I'm for unfettered, complete access to contraceptives for every woman in Maryland.
And Larry Hogan's opposed to a law that keeps guns off our streets. Hogan even opposed common sense background checks, opposed a ban on high-capacity magazine clips, and a ban on military-style assault weapons.
This is true. Hogan told the Sun Paper editorial board he opposed the state's sweeping gun control legislation passed by the General Assembly last year. Hogan says gun control is also a matter of settled law in Maryland, and he has no plans to revisit the issue or try to get the Democratic-controlled State House to reverse itself. Hogan does support tougher gun crime sentencing laws.
He's led men and women through difficult times.
Negative right out of the gate. The first general election TV ad in the Anthony Brown campaign for governor is double-edged. It depicts Brown as the good guy and Larry Hogan the villain.
The commercial shows us that this is going to be a very hard-fought campaign. It's going to be a campaign in which a lot of mud is going to be thrown, and a lot of claims are going to be made that may just have a glimmer of truth connected to them.
He's led men and women through difficult times and never stopped fighting for middle-class families. Anthony Brown fights for equal pay for women.
This is true, but last March, the Brown campaign had no women's agenda. Campaign officials explained that Maryland has one of the smallest gender pay gaps in the country. When Brown released a plan a month later, the Maryland NOW PAC president, Sarah Wilkinson, declared, Anthony Brown's plan is a little more than political rhetoric designed to pander to women voters, and we deserve better. They backed Heather Mazier at the time.
Hogan opposes raising the minimum wage, opposes universal pre-K.
This is true. Back in April, Hogan predicted raising the minimum wage would force employers to lay off thousands of entry-level workers. During a campaign forum the same month, Hogan says he opposes expanding pre-K just to qualify for federal dollars that disappear in a relatively short period of time and then mandate billions in additional state spending.
And supported massive college tuition increases.
This is false. The TV ad cites an October 4th, 2003 Washington Post article as the source. The story cites a plan to double college tuition floated by Richard Hugg, Bob Ehrlich's appointment to the Board of Regents. Hogan is not mentioned, and his job at the time as appointment secretary did not put him in a position to help make or influence such a decision. Reached by phone, Ehrlich's budget secretary Chip DePaula says Hogan was not involved in the discussion nor decision to raise tuition.
All to give tax breaks to corporations.
This is misleading. Both Hogan and Brown want to make Maryland more business friendly. Brown will put together a commission to look at comprehensive tax reform. He supports targeted tax credits, not sweeping reductions. Hogan says he's identified through federal and state audits $1.7 billion in state government waste and will use the savings to roll back taxes and fees.
That's a bogus number. It's made up for campaign purposes.
The choice for Attorney General.
In his latest TV campaign ad, Senator Brian Frosch hammers Delegate John Cardin on his judgment and legislative record.
Delegate John Cardin repeatedly failed to show up for work.
That specific claim is overstated. Delegate Cardin has a good reputation for his constituent services work, and he does show up for the 90-day General Assembly sessions. But this year, he showed up then left.
Missed 75% of committee votes.
This claim is true. Cardin is a member of the powerful House Ways and Means. Committee records indicate he missed precisely 74.858% of the votes during the 2014 session. According to the Baltimore Sun, his more than 100 votes missed include reforming Baltimore City tax code, expanding pre-K, bills addressing intimidation and fraud in petition drives.
Misused a Baltimore police boat and helicopter.
The claim is true. Back in 2009, Cardin convinced City Police Marine and Foxtrot units to help him propose to his girlfriend. They staged a fake raid on the boat the couple was on in the Inner Harbor. According to news accounts, police had the woman believing that she was about to be handcuffed just as Cardin got down on a knee and proposed. Cardin reimbursed the city for the cost of the bogus raid.
A leader in reducing gun violence.
This claim is true. Frosch was the floor leader on the state's sweeping gun control legislation that passed last year. The Brady campaign to prevent gun violence endorsed Frosch for that effort.
Protecting women from domestic violence.
This claim is true. This past session, Frost sponsored a bill that passed establishing a more reasonable burden of proof for domestic violence victims seeking protection orders.
Children from predators.
The claim about protecting children from predators is questionable based on Frosch's handling of Jessica's Law back in 2010. He opposes mandatory minimum sentences. The bill that did pass abolishes parole for child rapists. Lieutenant Governor Anthony Brown and State Attorney General Doug Gansler sparred over the rollout of the state health exchange. Each made a number of claims.
This is literally the one thing that he's been in charge of, that he's managed or he's led since he was lieutenant governor, and it's been an unmitigated disaster.
But the fact is, the governor appointed Brown to a number of leadership positions on a variety of issues. He coordinated the influx of military personnel in response to base realignment. He led the fight to reform laws and increase criminal penalties as a member of the Family Violence Council.
I reorganized the leadership at the exchange. The executive director left. We refocused the vendors, fired those who didn't perform as promised, including IBM.
The lieutenant governor appears to take sole responsibility for turning the health exchange around, but whether he acted alone cannot be determined. Last December, Brown told Jane Miller all the reports he received from the exchange prior to the rollout indicated everything was okay.
At no time did the reports say that we've got a problem here.
Doug Gansler accused Brown of jumping on the bandwagon of abolishing the state's death penalty law.
It's curious that he says he's fought for years, because every time the repeal of the death penalty bill came up while he was a delegate in Annapolis, other delegates signed up to sponsor the bill, and the lieutenant governor was nowhere to be found until he was running for governor.
According to General Assembly archives, Delegate Anthony Brown co-sponsored 3 death penalty-related bills, including moratorium legislation. During the debate, Brown brought up an ethical issue in Gansler's professional past.
He was the only state's attorney in the history of Maryland reprimanded by the highest court for misconduct.
This claim is true. Gansler did take on a judge who said an 11-year-old girl who was raped by an internet sexual predator that it takes 2 to tango, and that it was her fault for responding to his emails.
The Court of Appeals then reprimanded me for being a public official, publicly reading a public charging document at a press conference with the police. I wear it as a badge of honor.
Gansler went on the attack about the state of economic affairs.
The people of Maryland just can't take it anymore.
Gansler claims 76% more people are unemployed since the lieutenant governor came to office. Economist Anibar Basu says the number is actually 61. Gansler claims 46% of Baltimore City males don't have work. The statement is too vague to check. Do these include those not looking, teenagers, retirees?